Alrighty, folks, it is Thursday night. Welcome to Hunting the Rut Hotline. Hey, I'm Don Bell. Big Steve here is still out this week doing some other stuff for us. We're glad you're here, and listen tonight. Get on the phone, call your friends, say it is Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. You know what that means. It means you got questions. We're going to have some answers tonight, and we're going to talk, folks. It is already mid-June. My gracious, next week, even out here in South Alabama, July 15th, the Birmingham Deer Classic kicks off, and it's all fall after that. So, I mean, it's almost time to get ready to go deer hunting again. And that's not new to us. Every week we're right here at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, being able to take your questions. And all of you that are watching, that's not going to sneak up on you come deer season, because we've already been talking about what deer are doing all through the phases after post-rut, all the way through spring, as we're coming into this period now all over the country, as whitetail bucks are back in that period of revamping and getting ready, and as those antlers are starting to go, and folks, almost an inch a day they're capable of doing. If they're in good health, got good food, and good security, them old boys are going to be growing some antlers for us to be able to look at this fall. And that's what this show's about. Hey, stay tuned. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to kick this bad boy off. See you in just a few.
From Don Bell, the founder of Code Blue, comes Top Secret Reserve Doe Esters, the finest doe esters ever collected. Top Secret oxygen-free collection process is a complete generation above Code Blue. Our patent-pending collection process means no ammonia and no ammonia smell. At a limited quantity of 12,000 bottles, only 0.1% of hunters will be lucky enough to add Top Secret to their arsenal. Visit TopSecretDeerScent.com today and join the 0.1% club.
Alrighty, folks, we're back. We're live, and listen, let me give you just a heads up. If you hear something in the background tonight, you hear a forklift maybe running around. Well, right outside of this wall behind us, the studio is here in the office complex at Portland Outdoors, and we're just tickled to death to have Top Secret is our sponsor for the show. And you may hear that forklift back here, and I'm hearing it in my background, that beep beep. That means they're backing up and loading product to send to a store near you. We're working over for that, and guys, if you don't have Top Secret at your nearest sporting goods store, all you got to do is pick the phone up and call them and say, hey, like Fox News, demand it. All you got to do is tell them, hey, we want it. You can call. They can call Top Secret Deer Scent. Go to TopSecretDeerScent.com, contact us. We'll be glad to make sure that dealer near you gets product. We can either take care of them direct, or we can put them through one of the many distributors that we have across the country. So go to your local sporting goods store or chain store, wherever you're at, you buy sporting goods, and ask. For some reason they don't have it in. It may be because they haven't already gotten it in, or you can ask them to carry it. They certainly can get it. And that's what you're hearing in the background, maybe that being shipped out already this time of year. So folks, listen. It is mid-June. What we're going to be doing, as we've been doing, is we're getting ready to go hunting. It's like everything else. You just don't get ready to put a roof on a house. You first got to, you can't shingle a roof that's not there. You can't frame a house that you don't have a foundation. And so what we're doing is we're going to roof this house, and we're going to do it when season opens. But we've been laying the foundation. We've been digging footings, putting rebar in, pouring some concrete, getting it set up. We're going to frame. And then come season, we'll start finishing the house out, getting ready to be able to move into it. You first got to do your foundational stuff. The best time, it's like anything else. Prep work is the real story. Once you get in a tree, that's where it counts. I don't know if you guys know, as we're in this segment, we kind of bring you to snuff on some stuff. Let me tell you something. Right now, today, there's a movement all over the country. As we've said here many times, there's 14 million deer hunters in America. And there's a lot of gun hunters, 65 million gun hunters. And all of you out there, most of the people listening in, you have guns and you have multiple guns. Well, if you take, and I highly encourage, if you carry a pistol, to be able to take some of these concealment classes. You say, well, Don, what does that have to do with what we're talking about tonight? Well, it kind of has a lot to do with it, because pulling and using a concealed weapon is sort of like coming up on a white-tailed deer, or like playing golf. It's not how hard you hit the ball, it's how smooth. Well, knowing when and how to handle it, it's a lot like, I was telling a guy today, an instructor was talking to me, and I said, well, it's a lot like bow hunting a white-tailed deer. And this particular guy didn't hunt, and he understood the analogy. It's one thing to be in the woods where a deer is. You know, that's what you want to do, is to read the sign and then be able to set the tree stand placement on the trail or on the plot or off the plot, depending on the deer you're wanting to shoot. And it's quite another thing to be able to have a bow, or whether it's a compound or a recurve, and then be able to know when to pull and when to shoot and where to shoot, reading the whole time, looking at that buck and knowing based off of what he's doing with all the other deer around him, what they're doing and watching, knowing to take that shot. That's what this show's about. It's understanding what he's doing, what his mindset is to get there. As we've said in this show countless times, and we'll continue to do it every week, ears, eyes, nose. Ears, eyes, nose. Most important is the nose. So what we're doing is we're understanding the animal to be able to know, once we go through all this and we get through the dressing and we kill the human odor and we put the scent out to attract them, we grunt and rattle to get the deer in, to also know his body posture and to be able to know when to pull the bow. And if it's a compound, you can hold it. But if you're a recurve, that's a whole different judgment call, because at that point you got to pull and release. So you're looking at all those variables, looking at his body language. So all of this makes it up. All of a sudden come fall, September, a white-tailed deer doesn't just go poof, and he is who he is. He is who he is based off of where he has been for the past 12 months. The company and the pressure and the food and the resources around him is who he is opening day of bow season. So taking all that into consideration, we're going to take your questions tonight. So let's see, guys, can we take the first Facebook question? Okay, guys, first question tonight, we have Scott Andrews, and he's from Hustler, Wisconsin. Not quite sure where Hustler is. He wants to know, and this is a serious question. Scott wants to know, does a buck remember the spot where he's born? Now, at first glance, you read that, you're thinking, now, is he kidding me? Is he serious? Is Scott, people think, well, now, does a buck remember where he's born? Actually, I think what Scott's asking there, certainly it's a good question, does a buck know the territory in which he lives? In other words, Scott, I don't know, and I don't know that we'd ever know, because if we can get in ahead of another animal, for that matter, another human, but does an animal know where that's the spot he was born? Meaning that down the creek, across the branch over there on the side of that hill, I was born there. I don't know. I can take a leap here. My gut tells me no, but my gut also tells me, and experience tells me, that yes, he's certainly aware of where he was born as far as the lay of the land. You've heard me say many times on this show, and it's true. A whitetail is a whitetail is a whitetail. I don't care if he's in North Florida, if he's in Louisiana, or if he's in Manitoba, Canada. Deer has three defenses: ears, eyes, nose. The only difference between hunting one in Florida and Manitoba or Iowa is not the deer's ability, ears, eyes, nose, but it is topography, the lay of the land, and woodsmanship and pressure. That's the difference, because you got to apply getting to him and knowing, deer hunting is one thing, turkey hunting something else. Turkey's going to gobble over there, and he's going to come over and get on. All the turkey hunters knows if he's gobbling, he's coming to you, and all of a sudden he hangs up, he could be on the other side of a down tree, literally a log, and get hung up. And so what you got to do is quit calling the gobbler and go back around to get even with him, to call him back the other direction, because he's hung up. He's not coming over that tree. And if you know that's what he's sitting there and he's just gobbling, he ain't moving, he's hung up. Well, that's understanding the bird. Well, that's what you got to do with a whitetail. So that's what this show's about. So Scott, I'm not 100%, well, I'm almost 100% sure. I don't know that he says, hey, that's where I was born, but certainly a deer has a territory, a known area, and they kind of stay within that mile radius or so where they're living, unless pressure puts them out. The exception to those areas would be during the peak of the rut when there's does running everywhere. Well, excuse me, I said peak just before the peak, because in the peak they're standing. But it's just before the peak of the rut when he starts to make those master bedrooms, when they start crossing from one neighborhood to the other. You know what I'm saying? So, Scott, as a general rule, probably not that they don't physically know that's the log I was born by, but certainly this is the area in which I've reared, and they know this. All the turkey hunters, you know that if I'm sitting here up against a tree like I'm right here, and a gobbler's coming, I want to be facing straight on to the deer. I want the cover behind me. You don't want to be on the side of the tree like this, because if you do that, then he sees you and he can silhouette you, and he knows that that's something different. It'd be like a blind person going in a room, and you close your eyes, you can pretty much walk through your house because you know the lay where where all the furniture is. But all of a sudden, I blindfold you, and somebody goes in your house and goes to moving furniture around, you're going to run into everything. A turkey can tell whether he knows that knot on the side of that tree shouldn't be there. He knows his area. He recognizes it. A deer, sorta, not so much, but certainly a geographical area. Not a bad question. All right, let's see. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to take some more Facebook. And look, folks, we got a bunch of stuff going on tonight, and very diverse. We'll be right back.
You've worked hard all summer to get everything just right. Don't leave the rest of it to chance. Use the finest deer urine ever collected, and the only one in the market that is oxygen-free. From collection to bottle. Get ready. It's time to hunt.
Repel and kill the bugs that bug you most with the all-natural 100% deep-free BioShield.
You've waited your whole life for this moment. Don't spoil your opportunity because of poor preparation. Keep your optics clean and fog-free for a clear shot every time. Fog Zero.
All right, folks, we're back, and listen, let's take just a moment and recognize our sponsors here. You just saw that commercial, of course. Our flagship sponsors, Top Secret Deer Scent, oxygen-free from collection to the bottle. Unlike completely recharts the industry, dark urine says the deer was there. Clear yellow urine, oxygen-free from collection to the bottle, means the deer is there. Get you some at your local sporting goods store. And folks, listen, it's that time of year. All you guys out there that don't like them ticks and you're tired of pulling them off of you, did you see the BioShield Spot? 100% natural. That little bottle right there, 8-ounce bottle, retails for $7.95. Lasts 8 hours. It has a 98% repellency rate. It is excellent. Great reviews all over the country. Got articles going on this thing. Get you some of that, protect your family. And golly, look at the last one, Fog Zero. There's not a person not listening to any hunter that's pulled a scope up or a pair of binoculars or a rangefinder. Hey, your glasses. We had a guy that showed the other day. Actually, he's a buyer for a major hardware distributor. He come by a show, and I didn't even recognize him. He had a cap on and a backpack on. Looked like just a young guy there, and all of a sudden I realized who it was. A national buyer for a national account. And he said he was in a meeting, and he took a cup of coffee, and he was in a conference room, and they poured him a cup of coffee, and he brought it up to do it, and his glasses fogged, and it fogged, and then it immediately cleared right up. And he said it didn't dawn on him that he had cleaned his glasses with it. He forgot about it. And he told the lady next to him, "Did you see that?" She said, "See what?" He said, "Watch this." So he did it again. His glasses fogged, and it cleared right up. That's Fog Zero. Don't miss that shot of a lifetime because your binoculars fogs. It's called Fog Zero. You can go to fogzero.com.net and get that. You can see it on the screen there. You can go to it and get it. Don't let it happen to you this year. Local sporting goods store will have it. All right, let's see, guys. Our next question is from Maureen Leach from Jacksonville, Florida. I don't know if you guys know this, little trivia. Did you know that the largest city in America is Jacksonville, Florida? The entire county is the city. Fascinating. Did you guys know that? Didn't know that. There, see, live. Maybe I'm just throwing it in for giggles there. Maureen wants to know. How, on average, how many fawns will a doe birth during the spring? General rule, 1 to 2. 2 being the factor that, and pretty common if they're in good health, plenty of food, in that recovery period and the right age. 1 to 2 most of the time 2, and sometimes it can be 3. But on a general rule 2, if they're not in the best health on the downhill slide, it'll be 1. But as a general rule, 1 to 2 most of the time 2, and that's pretty true anywhere in the country. Let's see. St. Johns River flows north. That's right. There's only a couple of rivers in America that flows north, and St. John's out of Jacksonville is one of them. Just another little trivia question there. I didn't think about that. Okay. Michael Johnson from Springfield, Illinois. Is there any way to determine a mature dominant buck in your area? All right, now, back to, I think what Michael's wanting to know here. Micah? Guys, is that Micah? Micah, what Micah's wanting to really know is there, I think what he's wanting to know, is there any way to determine that a mature buck is in your area? As a general rule, if you have bucks in your area, there should be a dominant buck in your area. There's always a pecking order, and somewhere in that pecking order there's a dominant deer, or certainly the most dominant. Now, I think and in fact, I know for this to be a fact, all the years of doing seminars, it shocks people when I tell them that dominant does not always mean bigger. Most people think dominant means bigger, stronger, more mass. The ruddy noted, the hocks, or the tarsal glands are stained, more weight. Not necessarily. I have seen little cow horn spikes, what we call cow horn spikes here down in Alabama, whip 8 points like that. And the reason for it is, we've all come up through grammar school and high school. You got this bully, and he's a little bitty guy, and he just thinks he's bad. He's a Chihuahua, and he just likes fighting. Then all of a sudden you get a big guy that's temperamental, that don't want to fight, and all of a sudden that little guy's all up in his face. Well, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But dominant does not always mean bigger. I've seen cow horn spikes whip 8 points like this, and one of the reasons is, Tom and I were talking just a few minutes before the show, is heart. And if I know Taekwondo, which I don't, but if I know Taekwondo and I'm 5'8", and I got a 6'6" guy come up to me and he doesn't know it, chances are I'm going to be dominant, unless he's got a pistol. So dominant doesn't always mean bigger, but as a general rule, and that's the way to look at white-tailed deer. There is a general rule. If you notice, we don't say hard-clad things on a white-tailed deer. Somebody tells you this is the way it is with a white-tailed deer, either they've never hunted them or they're incorrect. There are exceptions to it, and those whitetails will seek that exception, but there are norms that they will do under given circumstances, and what you want to do is to play those circumstances, to play the defenses and use them against them. So let's understand that now. Let's see if we can answer this question. A mature dominant buck in the area, as a norm, there is going to be one there. It may not be a moose, but it may be, some subordinate bucks just in the area, but one of them is going to be the most dominant. So there is always a most dominant. Now, I think what Mike is trying to ask, how does a mature dominant buck react? In a given area, a mature dominant buck is going to have, of course, if you have a master bedroom in an area, you're not going to have a bunch of master bedrooms in an area. You're going to have a bunch of secondary scrapes and a master bedroom. That master bedroom is going to be from a mature dominant buck. Now, other bucks will come to it. The reason he's marking it is to tell all the bucks in the area to stay out of here. Now, it's very important to understand, Micah, that during pre-rut, let's say old Tom here behind the curtain here, like Wizard of Oz, Tom is the dominant buck. Chris on the other side over here, on the side of the curtain, he has a master bedroom, and it's pre-rut, early season. Bucks are in bachelor groups. Tom will allow Chris to come into the den of this house and watch Monday Night Football. They're still in bachelor groups. He's not mad. But once Tom's neck starts swelling and Tom comes along in this house, in this area, and designates a master bedroom and marks it, that becomes a no tolerance zone. Now, no more Monday Night Football. In other words, he doesn't like you in the house, and he certainly don't want you down the hall. So a mature buck at that point becomes protective of what the University of Georgia calls a no tolerance zone. Now, having said that, see, there's all these nuances. Now watch this. And when I say this, you guys are going to recognize this just by men you know. Start thinking about young men or grown men that you know. I can come up to Tom and I can say, Tom, you have a beautiful wife. Tom says, well, Don, thank you. Appreciate that. I come to Chris and I say, hey, Chris, you got a beautiful wife. And he says, well, Don, I appreciate that. Oh, Rusty comes walking by and I say, hey, Rusty, you got a beautiful wife. And he wants to take my head off. Oh, he wants to get all up in my face and, have something to say about it. Why? Certain men, their tolerance levels are less. Some are more confident in who they are, some are not. Some are more jealous than others. I've seen dominant bucks break and run run at a distance to run other bucks out. And at the same time, I've seen bucks tolerate other bucks coming, when I say, 30, 40 yards of a scrape, but their tail, the other buck's tail would be tucked and the ears would be, back, in other words, submissive. They're showing a submissive posture to that buck. Like, I ain't looking, I'm just coming through. So the posturing of the other animals, the other man, makes all the difference, is how each one of a buck's like a man. In fact, if a man was like a buck, every telephone pole up and down the interstate would be tore up, and scrapes would be everywhere. But men and bucks are similar. So a dominant buck doesn't always mean bigger. General rule, it does. There's always a dominant buck, though in our mindset, it may not be this. It may just be a really aggressive young buck over other subordinate bucks. But once he starts making those master bedrooms, that's the one he's going to check. Now he's being particular. Okay, so once he starts that, then you can zero in on that. And another quick thing is, if the buck starts going nocturnal, chances are you got a dominant buck, you got an older buck, a more mature buck, and you can bet he's almost dominant. That's a complete show in and of itself on how to not only recognize, but how to hunt, set up, and when to set up on a mature buck. He didn't get big by being stupid. And you really got to use your predator instinct to get to that buck and whip him on his grounds, because he's not in your house, you're in his, and he's certainly familiar with yours. You're a weekend warrior, he's trying to stay alive. Two totally different viewpoints, and you got to understand that with him. Guys, we got time for another one? All right, let's see. We got Francis Myers from Madison, Wisconsin. Beautiful part of the world, just south of Madison. You got Wakulla County, that's in Florida. You got Buffalo County, Wisconsin, the blackest dirt in America, folks. And of course, Francis probably knows this. If you were to go to the Boone and Crockett book, there's probably more Boone and Crockett's, which is the world-class records coming out of Buffalo County, historically out of that county, any other county in America, though there's a lot more today. You talk about Pike, Illinois, you talk about Iowa, you talk about Ohio. These are Kentucky coming on strong. All great states to kill Boone and Crockett's, but as they come and go historically, Buffalo County south of Madison's got it. Francis wants to know, how many times does it take to spook a buck out of the area? Well, if it's a good buck, one time. But Francis, depends on what you mean by spook. And I know you guys watch me, every week as we talk about this. I always seem to be variables to it, and that's because there's variables to it. Let me give you an example to what am I saying. What does it mean to spook a buck? I have given this analogy for years all over this country. So everybody watch this. We're all sitting in a field. You're me, I'm sitting in a field, and let's say we're rifle hunting, we're gun hunting. And for sake of argument, you're on a green field and you look out, let's say, I don't care if he's 30 yards, I don't care if he's 100 yards out. You look on the edge of the field, and old Tom, Big Daddy, he steps out, boom. And you think, my Lord, look at that. That's a Boone and Crockett. That's a once in a lifetime. That's a book deer in Buffalo County, Wisconsin, and you know it. Look, if you got to wonder if he's a shooter, he's not a shooter. You'll know if he's a shooter. Old Tom steps out of the woods, the timber, into the field, looks, turns, and steps right back out. You're sitting in your tree stand and you think, my Lord. So what you do is you pull your gun up and you put it on knowing that that buck's fixing to walk back out there. In the process of coming up, you hear, whoo, and you look over to your left, and there stands a doe out there 15, 20 yards, and she's blown you. You're looking at Tom. I'm coming up to shoot Tom, and I hear, whoo, and that stomp, and I look over, and there's a doe standing there, and she spotted me, and she stomped and blew. She spotted you. And worst sound in the world is going into a stand and hear, whoo, and a doe, she'll blow you, she'll tell the world. Now then, you got your gun up. You got a Boone and Crockett deer you know is standing inside that timber. You see bits and pieces of him knowing that he's fixing to step back out. You've got your gun up. What do? I got a doe standing there blowing me. I got a once in a lifetime buck that I know is fixing to step back out. What's that question? What's the answer? Everybody answer it in your own head. You shoot the stinking doe. Now, where you can shoot the doe, you shoot the doe. Now, if you can't shoot the doe, don't go tell people Don said shoot the doe if you're not legally to shoot the doe. But if you called my son, even as a young boy, he's 31 now, he'll tell you quick he was taught, and that happens. You come that gun up, and that buck's, let's say he's 50 yards. I don't care the distance, but let's just say 50 yards. He steps in, I know he's coming out, she blows, boom, he's going to shoot her. Now, most people, you can't get them to shoot a doe standing there when you got a Boone and Crockett over there. So why would you do it? Where it's legal, you do it for this reason. And this goes directly to the question that Francis has asked, and it seems like I ramble. I'm not. I'm giving you a hardcore example of this. It depends on how you spook a deer. When that gun goes boom, that doe's going to go down. That buck, you know what he's going to do? He's going to break and he's going to run 5-10 yards, and most of the time he's going to stop. Because first of all, he's not 100% sure where it came from. Boom, dear Lord. So he breaks and runs and he stops. Now why does he stop? A white-tailed deer has 3 defenses: ears, eyes, nose. He doesn't want to run into the danger, so he stops to reorient. When he stops and he stands completely still, didn't bother him, no other activity going on, a buck will turn and he'll walk his butt right back out in that field. But if you let that doe stand and blow and stomp, you're going to send that buck to New York City. He knows what she means, because she's telling him, "Ooh, Lord, Lord, hey, there's somebody up there in that tree." He's not thinking man in a tree, but it could be for all he knows, it's a coyote or coyotes or whatever. It's a predator. It's danger. That's all, and he ain't standing around and go, "No, what'd you say?" He's gone. So you can spook a deer, but a lot of times a buck will run so far and stop because, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to try to get out of this segment. A buck is lazy. And now when I tell people that, they think I've lost my mind. Look, you spook a buck in a clear cut. You jump a deer. He's going to break and run. He's going to go so far out of where he thinks he's out of danger. He doesn't run for eternity. He won't run to Canada. He's going to run till he thinks he's out of danger, and he's going to stop. And when they stop, They're going to listen. They may even look back. How many times have you shot a deer growing up in South Alabama? We'd hunt a clear cut with a shotgun and a rifle. We'd jump them in clear cuts. They'd jump and run. And if you couldn't get on him, then you see him going out of shotgun range. You bring the rifle over. He goes up on the ridge. He'll stop. And for heaven's sake, that sucker stop. He's out of, to his mind, he's out of danger. And look back. You get your shot. So why would you care too? Because we know that they'll do that. So he's going to run, but he's only going to run till he gets out of danger, because security is the same thing. Pressure makes a deer do something different, but he won't run forever. He's only going to run so far and he's going to stop. And then when there's no pressure, he'll get back in his routine again. Okay? Another whole show on that. Folks, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll go about it on another question. Be right back.
From Don Bell, the founder of Code Blue, comes Top Secret Reserve Doe Estrus, the finest doe estrus ever collected. Top Secret oxygen-free collection process is a complete generation above Code Blue. Our patent-pending collection process means no ammonia and no ammonia smell. At a limited quantity of 12,000 bottles, only 1/10% of hunters will be lucky enough to add Top Secret to their arsenal. Visit TopSecretDeerScent.com today and join the 1/10% club.
All right, folks, listen, you look up in the top left corner of your screen up there, you see the Top Secret Club, 1/10% Club. Folks, listen, we bring new meaning to the phrase, you snooze, you lose. And this is a perfect example of that. There's 12,000 bottles of reserve, 26 ounce. And folks, listen, it's a flat $100 bill. It's 26 ounces, and it is in process urine. What we mean by that is from a single doe, never seen oxygen, mature 3-4-year-old doe, and in process we literally pull the buck off of the doe. There's 12,000 bottles, 2 ways to get it. You can go to the website, hit that button below us tonight. You can go to the website right there. You can join the club. You can get it 2 different ways. You can hit it, say, you know what, Don? I want to know I got my bottle in my little possession right now. You can pay one time. And say, you know, I want it today, we'll ship it to you. Or you say, you know, I don't want it till November, October. Whatever the date is, you can assign it, pay for it one time tonight, we'll ship it when you want it. The second and the most popular right now is, from January all the way up to about August, it's the most popular. Hey folks, you can hit it and pay for it over 4 payments. So you can say, you know, Don, I want my bottle of reserve tonight. That can be either estrus or buck. You can pay for it over 4 payments. It'll take $25 a month, and then you pick your date when you want it, and we'll ship it to you. Hey, that way, hey, Father's Day's coming up. I just thought about that. Great Father's Day gift. And I'm not saying Mama don't know you're using the plastic to get your bottle. I'm just saying it's over 4 payments. You take it up with Mama. Of course, Mama knows it. Mama hunts. Mama's going to be doing it. You're going to have to check her credit card. But get you some. It's first come, you snooze, you lose. You think I'm lying, you wait till season comes, and the cat next to you, when he's selling it to you $30, $40 an ounce to get you some of it, that's what'll happen. Get your bottle tonight, we'll ship it when you want it. Join the 1/10% Club. Okay, folks, let's see. Next question. All right, Tamara from St. Paul, Minnesota. You like the way I handled that, Chris? She wants to know, when she goes on the website, what Tamara's wanting to know is about the BioShield products. You know, she says she's very interested in it. She needs to know how much it is. Well, and I'll go through that for her and you. And she wanted to know the actual cost and are there limitations to the products. Perfectly honest with you, all products have limitations. And all great products eliminates obstacles in your way to do whatever it is you want to achieve. And so that's the reason all great products are simple, and all simple products last a long period of time in the marketplace. So let's take the products. First of all, those of you who don't know what Tamara's asking, BioShield is a new product line that we put out in January of this year, and BioShield is an all-natural repellent. We have it in 3 different ways. And I'm going to put this up here, guys. Can you see that okay? All right. We have it in an 8-ounce spray. Now, guys, this bottle right here, Tamara, retails for $7.98. $7.95, 8 ounces, and you spray it on, and it lasts up to 8 hours of effectiveness. This has a phenomenal 98% repellency rate. Now, what this does, BioShield, it is an all-natural repellent. We're what was called a Class 25B, which means it is DEET-free. There's no EPA compounds in it. You literally can put it on your hands and put it on a child's face. It is a great product. We are having phenomenal success with this, and the reports and the articles being written on it's just amazing. We were at a show, Tamara, this past week, where we had a dealer from Louisiana there who knew somebody in the forestry industry, came into the store, and he gave him a bottle because he was saying, man, I'm getting eat up, and he knew him, he was a friend. He gave him a bottle instead of selling it to him. Well, the guy just loved it. He told the people at the forestry department, they came in, bought, 4, 5, 6 bottles. The next thing we know, there's an article statewide from the forestry department talking about this new great product that's protecting their employees. This stuff works, and it works in the last 8 hours. Here's the way it works. All insects produces a compound called octopamine. Now, what's important about that is that mammals, people, dogs, cats, does it produce this compound? Birds does not produce octopamine. Fish do not. Only insects produces this compound called octopamine. What BioShield's formula does in an all-natural way, it blocks the transmitter going to it, and it just shuts down the neurological system. And it does it almost instantaneous. It is a great product, smells great. Available, Tamara, $7.95 at your local sporting goods store or your national chain. And again, if they don't have it, you can ask for it. And if you need it immediately, certainly you can go to the website and get it tonight. Now, Tamara, what's amazing about this is that prior to January, the repellent industry has had a repellent. By far, I'd say in the high 90%, everything on the marketplace had DEET in it. And if you read the sprays with DEET, it plainly tells you on the instructions, don't put this on your skin. It's not made to put on your skin. It's bad stuff. People break out with it. People have all kind of rashes with it. It's just not thing. But it is what's been the go-to chemical to kill insects. Now, there's another great product on the market that's called Thermocell. A lot of the hunters know what I'm talking about. It's the device you put it on your belt and it does an area. Now, Thermocell is designed to where it's got a battery in it and you put it in it, and it only lasts so long, then you have to buy a replacement kit. The compound being used on the pad is an EPA compound. Then you got to buy the refill. Then you got to put it on you. Then it protects a area where you're sitting. The problem with that is I got to get to and from where I'm sitting. And it only protects insects. So while you get up in the tree and being protected in the area off of mosquitoes, the tick's eating your butt up. The chigger's eating you up. You see what I'm saying? So what our product does, it repels ticks, mosquitoes, bed bugs, black flies, any kind of biting insect, even bed bugs. So our product does casts a much wider net. It gives you total protection. Now what's unique about it is that not only do we have, for the first time in the repellent industry, not only do we have, I'm trying to find my face here, I guess you guys can tell that, can't you? Not only do we have it in a spray, for the first time, any repellent company, we have it in a body wash, guys, body wash and shampoo. You literally can take a bath. Now, I'm assuming everybody listening takes a bath. Well, why not have protection? This is not cost prohibitive, Tamara. That bottle right there is $9.95. It is great lather. It lasts a long time. You can wash your hair with it. Guys, you can shave with it. We tell people at shows, we give it to them, and the women go, I ain't gonna wash my... And they come back the next day at the show, and just raving on it. A lady came to the show this week, guys, and was talking about how soft her skin was. It is some excellent stuff. We're the only company with a body wash and shampoo that repels ticks, mosquitoes, bed bugs, any kind of biting insect. great, all natural. Taking a bath, protect your family. You're going hunting, protect yourself. Now, also, we have it in a laundry detergent. Again, we're the only company with this. Now, everybody knows you're washing your clothes. Why not have protection? You're already taking a bath. Why not have protection with the body wash and shampoo? So we have a family of products. Hunters know to use the system to kill the human odor. You take a shower, you wash your clothes, you use a field spray. Hunters know to do that, and you need to get to that defense of that whitetail, especially that mature buck. Here's a product line that protects your entire family. Doesn't matter if they're going to school, playing in the yard, gardening, 3D shoots, or if you're hunting. 12 months out of the year protection. Great line, Tamara. If you have any questions, you certainly can call us on the 800 number and ask for customer service, or hit what am I trying to say, extension to customer service, and they'll be glad to talk to you one-on-one on our products. Hey, appreciate your interest in it, and we certainly look forward to talking to you, Tamara. All right. We got a question coming in. I'm not sure who this is from. It's just a generic one. It says, how many mock scrapes should a hunter make on their property to entice a buck? Relevant question. And what I mean by that is, how big is the property? Historically, look, the way to look at mock scrapes is pre-rut, they're great. Really pre-rut and all the way up to just before the peak of the rut. Even if I find a primary scrape, a master bedroom, sometimes to irritate that old boy, I'll come along his ridge and I'll make mock scrapes on top of, in and around his primary scrape. I don't know that you just don't want to go crazy with it, but if you know, guys, have you ever hunted and you walk down a ridge or edge of a field or change of a timber between a clear cut and a timber line or a logging road, and you're looking around and you're going, man, there ought to be rubs in here. There ought to be scrapes in here. Looks like a good place, put you some. A buck doesn't know the difference between a mock scrape and a real scrape. What is a scrape? A scrape is where it's been cleaned out and you put buck urine in it. You got a scrape. Now, primary scrape is underneath the overhanging limb. You could do that, make a scrape, and put buck urine and estrus in it. Heck, he thinks somebody's done moved in and built a master bedroom next to his, which is not a real cool thing he's thinking to do, which means now you're going to irritate him. That's where you grunt, and there's where the rattling of the territorial infringement comes in. But how many mock scrapes is really going to determine how big an area you're hunting. Historically, are there scrapes in the area? How much pressure is being put on the property will determine how to do that. But you can use mock scrapes to your advantage. I like using them certainly pre-rut. I like using them early season. Again, sometimes I will go around and lead up to in and around a primary scrape just to kind of screw with him, get him all hyped up to think somebody else is in his bedroom. But when I do that, I always put buck urine in it. Always buck urine. And then that way he thinks he's got an intruder in his master bedroom. All right, let's see here. We got a question, email question. Does a buck always make an active scrape under an overhanging branch? And the answer to that is no. A buck makes two kinds of scrapes. He makes a secondary scrape and he makes a primary scrape. A secondary scrape anywhere in the country, doesn't matter where you are, when a buck's coming out of velvet, when he comes out of velvet, typically the first buck out of velvet is going to be your most dominant. First thing he does, he leaves bachelor groups. In other words, they've been shacked up together sharing the cost of an apartment all spring and summer. And now he's breaking out. He's going to be a big boy. He's moving out of the house and he's getting tired of the foolishness of the teenagers, and he's going to go build him a house. First thing he's got to do, he's going to make a rub line. Second thing he's going to do, and this is pre-rut, this is when he's coming out of velvet, he's going to go along and you guys hunters know this, because this is the biggest mistake hunters make all over the country. Most hunters, a lot of hunters, make the mistake of not being able to recognize the difference between a secondary scrape and a primary. A secondary scrape, or what I call a frustration scrape, and it makes sense, but a frustration scrape or secondary scrape is early archery season, pre-rut. He's coming out of velvet, he's all dressed to go to the prom. Once a buck sheds velvet, he's in rut, he can breed. Problem is, he's all dressed to go to the prom. He's out in the car with the motor ribbed up with his little tux on. There ain't no girls even thinking about getting dressed to go to the prom because there's not any does in what? Estrus. He's a little frustrated. So he goes along his little line there where he's marked off his territory, and he starts making these secondary scrapes. As a general rule, he doesn't mark these scrapes. And listen to what I just said, the term again, as a general rule. He doesn't mark them. The reason he's not marking it, he's frustrated. He's just dead blame it. He's hitting, he may have 5, 10, 15, 20 of these things along this perimeter during pre-rut. And what we do as hunters, we see this activity and we get all excited. Man, you're scouting and you see all that, and first thing you want to do is go get up in a tree and sit over that during pre-rut. Early archery season, sit there all day, all week, never see the buck. And so you don't have any luck hunting scrapes, therefore you're not showing a distinction between a secondary and a primary, so you quit hunting scrapes. Well, the very thing that you quit hunting is the very thing you need to hunt, because some of those secondary scrapes, Tom's going to turn into a primary scrape just before the peak. He's going to designate one of them as a master bedroom, and that's the one he's going to mark, that's the one he's going to check. When Tom urinates in that scrape, he does it when his neck's swollen. He urinates over the tarsals, the hocks back inside the leg of the deer. As he urinates on it, the urine hits the top, the muss with the coming out of the gland onto the ground. And then a lot of you will see this in videos, and you've seen it in person. You'll see Tom kind of paw at the scrape. He has an interdigital gland between the hoof. This year, you kill a buck, take a knife, just kind of rake, don't even have to dig, just kind of rake down in there and you're going to get something out. I was telling them last week, I think it was last week, I called it like a toe jelly, toe dope, or whatever, toe jelly. Bad analogy, but it is a gland. It's it's almost the consistency of, it's not jelly, but you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. And it is an interdigital gland. Now, it's not something that we smell, because toe jelly, I mean, you don't know, everybody's going to smell it. This doesn't have the smell that you would think. That's like his personal fingerprint. So the running odor of Tom versus Chris versus me is neck swollen, full rut, urinates over the tarsals, mixes with the muss onto the ground, paws the scrape, puts his interdigital, his personal signature fingerprint in that scrape. This is the one that's now underneath an overhanging limb. This is the master bedroom. This is what the University of Georgia calls a primary scrape. This is the one he's going to check. The reason he does it is, and the reason he's checking the scrape, and he doesn't come up there and look in it. He doesn't have to come looking. The only time a buck will come to the scrape, he's not coming to check it as much as he is coming to freshen it, to work it. He can go downwind. How far downwind just simply depends on the wind. He can come, you can look and see somebody's home, see if somebody's car is there. You got to run right up there and look right in the car. You can go down 2 blocks and see if the truck's sitting there. You know he's home. So depends on the wind. But when he comes in, he does it for 2 reasons. He tells every buck to stay out and all the girls to come in. If a doe likes what she smells, she's going to come in, she's going to urinate in that scrape and or put droppings in it. A lot of hunters think, well, what's droppings doing in a scrape? Why would a buck put droppings in a scrape? Most times it's not the buck doing that, it's a doe. The calling card of it's like a business card. Imagine, downwind, doe comes downwind, she smells what she likes it, can't imagine why, but she likes it. She comes in, she'll urinate in that scrape, and she'll put droppings in it. She'll go off in bed and hang around. A buck goes downwind, smells the calling card of a receptive doe, he comes in, trails the doe up and breeds her. That's the way the good Lord designed the master bedroom. Well, that's why he does what he does in making a scrape. So to answer this person's question, does a buck always make an active scrape under an overhanging limb? The answer is no. It's almost at times that there's young bucks that they just go through the process, and the reason they can't is because a dominant buck won't let them. Sometimes you'll see the little subordinate bucks come in what they call a community scrape, and you may see 4 or 5 bucks urinating in the same scrape. You know, excuse me, you may see 4 or 5 bucks coming mouthing or hooking it or pawing the ground, but if he urinates in it, now it's either his scrape or he thinks he's a bad motor scooter because he's done come up there and got in Tom's face and said, hey, you know, I'll take some of you. He might not, but at least he thinks he can. So if you see one urinating in it, as a general rule, it's either his or he thinks he's bad enough to take on because he's right up in his face. Folks, we got time for going to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll do one more. I think we got time for maybe one more quick one. 2? Okay, great. Be right back.
Rise and shine. It's time to hunt.
Repel and kill the bugs that bug you most with the all-natural 100% deep-free BioShield.
You've waited your whole life for this moment. Don't spoil your opportunity because of poor preparation. Keep your optics clean and fog-free for a clear shot every time. Fog Zero.
All right, folks, we're back, and look, folks, we're in the final segment tonight. It's amazing how much time flies. Hey, but let me comment on that foam that you just seen in the first part of that commercial. Pretty neat stuff in it. We're the only ones with foam. Hey, you got 300 applications in that. $19.95 for 8 ounces. We're the only ones with foam. You don't need the scent saver with this. Literally, you can just go along and foam it. Every 10, 15 steps, just foam it on the ground. You never want to put scent more than waist high. If you do, you're going to make the deer look up at you. Deer, you want his head straight or looking down. Majority of the time, I put it on the ground. All those use a grunt call, and you grunt. What you're doing, I hear this all over the country. We're doing these seminars. People say, well, I use a grunt call, but I never see a deer. Well, most people use a grunt call. They're using estrus. Therefore, when you grunt, it's an infringement. Buck goes down. He wants to smell what he's hearing. If you got estrus alone out, his ears is telling him one thing and his nose is overriding it. But watch this. You take buck urine, estrus, and you take buck urine. Now you can take these two literally and walk in. This is buck urine, buck, 10, 15 yards, estrus, buck, estrus, buck, estrus. Now you have a buck chasing a doe. By the way, that's exactly what you're saying when you use a grunt call and you tell a buck, when you grunt, you're telling that buck another buck's tending a doe. That's exactly what you just told him with the foam. You got a buck chasing a doe, and only we have it. It'll last a long time. 300 applications per thing, pretty neat, and only we have that. Okay. Next email question: is your breeding buck urine a tarsal urine or straight bladder urine? All of our urines in Top Secret are straight urines, meaning that estrus, buck, or doe. Okay. Now we do have a tarsal lure and liquid and buck, and that's a combination of buck urine and tarsal. Same way in the foam. But the straight urines, and the question you're asking is your breeding buck urine, which is our reserve, it is strictly buck urine. Now, let me tell you about the breeding buck. The breeding buck is coming from mature bucks. Literally, this bottle right here, that's breeding buck. This is reserve estrus. We literally pulled this buck off of those does. Now here's the deal with that. You know, look, math is math. We got 12,000 bottles of the estrus, or we had. There's 12 million deer hunters, so we're real creative 1/10 of 1%, only literally 12,000 or 12 million, that's 1/10 of 1% will get a bottle. There's only about 1,100 bottles of the buck urine. So there's way less of this, of the buck, breeding buck, with this question than it is of the estrus. And the reason for that, you only need about 10% of bucks to breed the does. They can service a lot of does. So therefore, buck urine is one of the hardest things to get. So breeding buck is literally the bucks that we're pulling off of these does. They're not just a buck, it's the bucks that we're breeding off of these does. So that doe in that bottle literally stood and allowed that buck to mount. And bless his heart, we pulled him off of her and collected the urines. Now, we really ought to sell the video rather than selling the urine, because after about the third doe, he's mad. He knows the routine. He knows what's fixing to happen. And you can see it in his eyes and his body movement. He can tell. He knows what's about to come up. Animals, especially bucks, are learned habits. And even that, they know. So way less of the buck than of the estrus. But you can be a club member by either bottle. We got a lot of club members, gets both. But that is strictly first come, first serve on the breeding buck. Only about 1,100 bottles. But the answer to the question is yes, the breeding buck is strictly buck urine from a buck, mature buck, that is a breeding buck, which means he's a mature buck. Okay, one more quick one, if I squeeze it in quick. What's the best way to apply the scent? Cotton ball directly to the ground or branch. Now, I want you, a lot of people, I like using cotton balls. I never reuse the same thing that I have used prior. Let me get biblical with that. You know, in the New Testament it says don't put new wine in old wineskins. There's a reason for that. You're taking good and putting it in bad. Anybody that likes wine, if I poured, that's not wine, but if that was a glass and I took a bottle of wine, and this ain't wine, this is estrus, but if I poured me a glass and, you know, any good red wine, you want it to breathe a little bit. So it needs a little bit of air to breathe. Well, it breathes. But if you leave it and go off till tomorrow and come back, nobody in their right mind will drink that glass of wine because it's already went the other way. So you're not going to open a fresh bottle and pour it into that's been sitting out for a day. Yeah, that's what it means. Now, coming back to the question here, with scent, if you put scent on top of a cotton ball, even hours, that's never seen oxygen. You put a cotton ball out right here and pour it on it. There it is. That cotton ball's hanging in the tree. Now then, I hunt till lunch. I come in. I go back out tomorrow, or I come back this afternoon and put urine on it. I have put good urine on 4-hour-old urine. Literally, the buck can tell the difference between 4-hour-old urine versus fresh that's just put out. As soon as urine hits oxygen, it starts ammoniating, and it tells Tom and Chris and Rusty and whoever in the warehouse out there how long it's been since I've been here. That's the reason Top Secret is just absolutely killing everybody out there on this stuff, because it tells a deer you're there while you're sitting there. Dark urine means a deer was there. It means it's ammoniated, and when Tom comes up, it says, Tom, you know what? There was a buck here. Right here in this very tree. He's not here now. He was here before. Now then, you pour Top Secret out, that tells Tom there's a buck over, a doe over there by that tree, and she's there somewhere because it's fresh. There's a difference between the two. And if I'm going to go sit in a tree in the rain and freeze and get wet, I'll at least want to tell the doggone buck or the deer that I'm there now, not that I was there. Folks, listen. Get you some of this stuff. A lot of good questions. And a quick answer to that, I put it on the ground and never put it more than waist high. If you don't, you're going to make a deer look up at you. Deer, in spite of everything we want to do, most hunters hang scent high because they think the higher we put it, the further it's going to go. Believe it or not, folks, deer urinate on the ground 365 days a year. They don't urinate head high in a tree. You can put it on the ground, be just as effective. Folks, well, listen, Tell your friends about the show, and we'll see you next Thursday night, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we will be taking questions. This is Hunting the Rut Hotline. You have questions, and we're going to have some answers. We'll see you next Thursday night.